Hi friends, today we are going to make something special for Valentine's Day. We're going to make a flourless chocolate cake, and we're not going to just make one cake, we're going to make two because I'm trying out two recipes. Now I saw many recipes out there. Some had 4 eggs, some had 8 eggs, some had 7 eggs. There's like different things. So I kind of did a lot of research. I did a kind of a basic typical flourless cake, and then I do another one with maple syrup. It has a little bit of unrefined sweetness in there. And we'll see how that one calls for 7 eggs, and it's also cooked differently. So there's different recipes. We're testing out different baking techniques, and we'll see which one wins. So let's get cooking. We are gonna start with greasing our pan. I'm just taking a little bit of butter. Oh, I need an 8-inch cake pan, and pretty much most people do it with an 8-inch cake pan. Now some people do it with a spring-formed pan. Some do it with a water bath. And I'm like, it makes sense to me to do the water bath. And I don't know. I might try sometime to do it that way also, because I'm really curious to see which one would be the best. And there's some that swear by a lot of eggs. And then I've seen that some that just do it like kind of the recipe I'm going to do is with 4 eggs. I even seen one gal do it with 3 eggs, and like it looked amazing. So I'm just going to take a little bit of cocoa powder. I use cacao powder actually on my whenever I make any kind of recipes. I make this delicious chocolate pudding with avocados, and I love it with this cacao powder. So let's just slide that along. We don't have no stickage. The pan a little tap. See if I can get it back in the bowl. We'll see. And then I'm going to take a little bit of parchment paper so we can easily get that cake out, and doesn't stick to the bottom of our pan. So we got that part done. My hands are a little greasy. Let me wash those. Do you all make anything special for Valentine's Day for your family? I'm sure you probably do. We used to years ago go out to eat, but boy, that is the biggest. The restaurants are so packed full. It's like it's not that enjoyable. So I like to make something special at home. And the prices of everything, I think it's a lot more economical. So on the stove, I have a saucepan with just a little bit of water, and I'm going to put my bowl down in here. The bottom is not touching the water, and let me get a video shot of that. So here's what it looks like. Now I already had the water heated up, so I turned it down a little bit, but that bowl will heat up. But if you can see, the bottom isn't touching the water. And we're going to be putting our butter and our chocolate in there. All right, so I'm going to take 4 ounces of 70% cacao. Let me see, make sure that was cacao, or was it? Yeah, cacao. It's an extra bittersweet chocolate. We're going to be adding sugar to this. I really might try it even sometime with maple syrup, because we're trying to eat less refined sugars. You want to get the best chocolate that you can afford, because this is a really special, decadent cake. And I'm just using a serrated knife. Lower this. There you go. See what's going on here. Of course, I have it on the stove. I don't want to have it too long. It'll already start to melt. I'm just giving this a rub chop because we're going to put that in the pan with some butter. We're going to melt that up. go. There we go. All right. We're going to put that in the pan with the butter at the same time. I have to say it's been years since I've had a flourless chocolate cake. A lot of times, when we go out to like the Greek diners, they always had a nice layer flourless chocolate cake, which is very decadent. And I just remember it tasting so yummy. All right, we're going to take a half a stick of unsalted butter. Got part of my head cut off. And you can put this chocolate in the microwave. If you have a microwave, if you have a microwave safe bowl, and you would put it in there for about 30 seconds, stir, and keep doing it like for 30 seconds, because you don't want it to seize up, because then your melted chocolate mixture will be kind of worthless. All right. Put the chocolate in there. Put the butter in there. And we're going to, after we melt this, we're going to also add some cacao powder to that. So it's going to be nice and chocolatey. Our chocolate is starting to melt a little bit. And you don't want to get this all, you just want this good and melted. You don't want it, and if you have a little few pieces in there, the heat from the bowl will go ahead and melt the rest of it. So let's get our eggs ready while that's a melting. On my plate there. I'm going to be using 4 large eggs. And let me tell you, I read many recipes and they're all over the place with temperature of your oven and techniques. Some people use a stand mixer, some people do it by hand. And I'm going to whisk mine by hand, so we'll give this a try. You want to make sure you let your chocolate mixture, your melted chocolate, cool down a little bit before you add eggs, because you do not want to have chocolate scrambled eggs. That's something I know I can be a little creative, but I'm like thinking I might not like that. All right, and I have some other room temperature eggs I'm going to use. Maybe later if I make another cake like this. We'll see. So what are you making for a special treat for your family for Valentine's Day this year? One thing I did for my church is we had a little brunch, and I made a nice platter of oranges, and they weren't just your regular oranges. So there's two kinds of oranges. One was called a raspberry orange, which they look very similar to. They look very similar to um, blood oranges, but they had a little variation of that, and they tasted really nice. They were, I wouldn't say they tasted like raspberry, but it had like a tart and a sweet taste, like a raspberry. They were very good. And then the other orange I used was called a cara orange. They're like a pink orange. They're I mean, they're still kind of orangey, but they're orangey pink. And I thought they would make a pretty platter for the fruit, and something a little bit different. I wanted something a little different than your typical strawberries. I wanted to bring some creativity to the brunch. So, and those Cara oranges were very good. They were nice and sweet, but not overly sweet. They were really pretty, and they were very tasty. And a lot of people commented, they're like, "What kind of orange is this?" They're like, "This is delicious." So we're getting there with the chocolate. So what we're going to add is we're going to be adding in a teaspoon of instant espresso powder to our melted chocolate. But let's go ahead and get that melted, and we'll add everything else to it. Our chocolate is melting nice. A little bit of butter there, not melted. And you could really, oh, it's really starting to simmer, because that's what you want, to kind of a lightly simmer. I'm going to take that off the heat now, and just that little bit of butter and chocolate, we're going to let that melt, and we're going to get all our other ingredients ready. Okay, we've got this cooling down a little bit. Let's go ahead and let me just put my little pinky in there to see how hot it is. That's not too hot. That's good. Ooh, that tastes good. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm trying to decide if I want this bigger bowl instead of the smaller bowl, because once I get beaten eggs, let's try let's see if I have an epic fail or not. So like I was saying, I see a lot of variations to techniques and uh, temperatures. We're going to be cooking ours at 360. I'm going to go ahead and put a half a cup of, you know what, I'm going to put my sugar in first. No, let's put our cocoa in there. Oh, it's still warm. I'm going to put a half a cup of cacao powder. That makes it nice and chocolate. Now, probably the best thing would have been to sift it through my little sifter, but I forgot about that. So, it's the thing when you're video recording. Sometimes you don't remember everything you're going to do. And I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of espresso powder. I like to do that while it's still warm to kind of bloom it a little, give it the optimal flavor. Give that a good stir. Like I said, don't do like me. Go ahead and get yourself a little strainer and put that cacao powder, because you might have little lumps in there, and you don't want to fight with that. You don't want to bite into your cake and have like a little air pocket and a bubble of just pure cacao powder. You know what? I might use my whisk now, because I'm going to be using my whisk for adding the eggs. I want to use a pinch of salt, or more than a pinch, more like a 1/4 teaspoon. That really brings out the intensity of the chocolate. I'm going to stir that till it looks nice and smooth. See if I can come a little closer. There we go. All right, now we're going to add not a half a cup, 3/4 a cup of organic granulated sugar. Let's give that a mix in. A little chocolate on the finger. Never hurt anybody. And because there's no flour in here, we can whisk this pretty good. Now, I would say, like I said, different people do different techniques. And some people put it in their stand mixer. And I can see that'd be a lot easier because I like my sugar all dissolved. Let's go ahead and add our vanilla right now. We're going to use 1 filled to the brim teaspoon of vanilla. Now, one other technique I see is a lot of people also do, well, not, it's I guess half and half. Some people do this put their pan in another pan and do like a hot water bath. And I very much might try that just to see what the difference is. And like I said, we don't have to worry about beating this so much because there's no flour in there. There's no gluten, so we'll be good to go. We should be good to go. All right, let's do like 1 egg at a time. Blamey. Off the hands. And now it's going to start to look a little funky, and you're going to be like, what am I doing? It's going to be okay. And that's pretty much another reason why we want room temperature eggs. It helps it, I think, temper a little bit to this. Another egg in there. And give a good whisk. Getting a nice warm arm workout here. Now let me know if you've ever made flourless chocolate cake, and let me know what technique you use and what temperature. I'm really curious. And also how your texture comes out when you're, oh, this looks like it's doing pretty good. Another egg in there. I saw this one gal, she did it, I think with 3 eggs, which other people swear, oh, you have to have 4 or more eggs. Her chocolate flourless cake looked amazingly moist, and I liked the shape of it. Now, I think with a water, because I'm not a professional baker, I'm just a home cook, a home baker. Things have been trial and error over the years of 40 to 50 years of cooking. All right, let's put that last egg in there. Really simple ingredients, wouldn't you say? This is going to be so yummy. So the question now is, do I put for the topping, do I use a chocolate ganache, or I'm debating to do a strawberry cheesecake mousse. I'm like, will those two flavors be competing too much with each other? What do you think? I just thought it would look really pretty. I haven't decided I don't have the final decision yet. I'm just giving this a good stir. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands. Let's pour this into our pan. All right, let's pour this glorious chocolate mixture into our pan. That look good. Very few people don't like chocolate cake. I have one of my dearest friends. She's not a big fan of chocolate. But I think she might really go for this. And actually, when she does usually have chocolate, she does have milk chocolate. So I'll be curious to know if she ever, I don't know if she ever had flourless chocolate cake. But this is a great cake for our friends that need gluten-free. I'm scraping out every last bit of this chocolate because chocolate is expensive. It's just the old-fashioned will work. Just making it nice and even. Now this will not be this will be a smaller cake, but it's going to be packed with an immense amount of flavor and decadence. Wash the hands again. So here we have our flourless chocolate cake ready to go in the oven. All right, we're gonna take that cake out of the oven. I put the timer on for an extra 5 minutes because it definitely wasn't done. And it does look a little wavy, so we'll see. That's how it looks. It smells very good. So we'll let this cool a good 20 minutes before we take it out of the pan. 15-20 minutes. Hard. It's going to be hard to wait for the chocolate ganache or the strawberry mousse. Okay, let's take this and flip it onto our plate. Ta-da! That came out so simple. Yummy. Now I'm going to carefully peel off our parchment paper if I can get a hold of it. There we go. This looks really good. Oh, got the water running. You probably can't hear. Ooh, there's a little pit there. I don't know what that was about. Now I'm talking to my carefully pull this back. Some of my cake is sticking to it. Here we go. And if we want it to look prettier, we can flip it back over. It did peel off a little bit, which it really shouldn't have. Give it a little taste. Wow. That tastes good. I only got a little tiny taste. So, still haven't decided. Chocolate ganache Strawberry cheesecake mousse. Choices, choices. So yeah, take a look at that. See, got a couple of pits in there, and I don't know why. So we might flip it over. We'll see. If I cover it with the strawberry cheesecake mousse, you won't see it. All right, we're gonna make some ganache. You need about 1 cup of heavy cream. Decided to go with the ganache for this topping. And with ganache, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So we have 16 ounces of chocolate chip. Ooh, I have that a little high. I don't want to get all this cream out, so I'm going to use my spatula. And you just want a really low simmer. You don't want to scald the milk. Definitely don't want to boil it. Or not milk, it's heavy cream. Keep a good eye on that. And then we'll just get a bowl to put our chocolate chips. Now you can do ganache also in the microwave, but I just like this method. It works for me. It's really easy. You just have to stay in the kitchen. You can't leave the kitchen while you've got that cream on the stove because you can very quickly overheat it. Put that back in the fridge. And I weighed these out. So this was like a pack and a quarter. I used 1 package of 60% cacao, bittersweet. Was it bittersweet? I think the bittersweet, and then I used the rest milk chocolate. Better to use the better quality. Oh, I guess I threw the wrapper away. I was trying to see. It's getting there. It's almost there. I have this on 5.5, my little burner here. Feels like watch a pot and it doesn't boil, but I really don't want to leave it. Dump my chocolate in there. There we go. We're going to pour that on top. I always give it a little shake. Make sure everybody's in the pool. And then I take plastic wrap. This is so simple. And it really makes it seem like you're just a fabulous cook or baker. We're going to set the timer for 5 minutes. We're just going to let it do its thing. And now, when you're thinking of a chocolate cake, you're thinking maybe of big fluffy layers. This is not that. It is more dense. You're going to have, remember we used all that batter? That was an 8-inch cake pan. And this is just what you're going to get. Now I flipped it back over to the top side because I had some little pits in the bottom. I don't want anybody to see that. So we're going to pour the chocolate ganache on there. There's different things you can do. You can put a little cocoa powder on there. You can do a little powdered sugar. So we're going to put this ganache and let's get that stirred up. Oh, I should get a close-up of this. I'm already in the process. There you go. I want you to get a good look at how that is going to look. I always get nervous with this. Now, I did use 10 ounces of a really nice quality chocolate. And I kind of use just your average um, basic milk chocolate morsels. 6 ounces of that just because I don't think I had another pack. So I had to use what I had. Now see, that's coming together really nice. We're just giving it a stir to get all that chocolate melted. Sometimes you will see some that don't maybe are all the way melted, but we're just going to stir this through and hopefully this is just warm enough that it can melt what we have in there. One of the bigger, the nice quality chips I had, they were bigger chips, so those take a little bit more to melt. One of the reasons why people a lot of times avoid ganache is because, you know, if it freezes up, if you have overheated it or underheated it or put too much cold in with the chocolate, it'll like seize it up and you can't ever get it back to this nice state. I'm just gonna feel. It is cooling down pretty quick. And I have taken leftover ganache and whipped it up to have a really nice, oh, isn't that so pretty? Can you see how nice and glossy that is? That is just one of the wonderful signatures of, let me go ahead and move my camera. Let's pour it on our cake. And we have to let this set. Have to let this ganache set up on here. So let's see how much we're gonna start in the center. I'm not gonna use all this. I might, the next batch I make. And let's push that out. Well, we can go with a little bit more. We want this really decadent. Yeah. I could have. This is the only one I'm making. I could have really put that recipe in half. So I could have used 4 ounces of heavy cream and 8 ounces of chocolate chips. I probably should have done that, but I'm just trying to evenly, and I'm just bringing it up to the edge. I just want it to be a nice even layer. I don't want, you know, so much in the middle and not enough on the edge. Oh, that looks so pretty. We can put a couple strawberries on there. There's one of my little chocolate chips that didn't melt. Let's put it back in there. Didn't quite melt all the way. So it's going to be very tempting to eat this right now, but it will be much nicer once it sets up. I'm going to put this in the fridge. Probably won't dig into it until tomorrow because it's getting late now. But how nice is that? Doesn't that look perfect for Valentine's Day? You could get a little heart cookie cutter, and if you didn't use the chocolate ganache, you can dust it with powdered sugar or cocoa powder, right? Wouldn't that look cute? Um, so I'm excited to try it. So now we're going to try a whole different recipe of a flourless chocolate cake, and we're going to do a different baking technique. Let's see which one is the winner. So I'm venturing out, trying a new recipe with this chocolate flourless cake. This time I want to use unrefined sugar. I'm going to use some maple syrup. So we'll see how that turns out. You get to see the test here and see which one is a winner. It's a few different ingredients, obviously, and also we're doing a different baking technique. So I'm going to just take some coconut spray here and just going to grease that pan. I'm using an 8-inch cake pan. Last time I put butter on there, this time I'm going to use coconut oil. Then we're going to take a piece of parchment paper to fit the inside our last time I dusted the cake pan with cocoa powder. Obviously you don't want to dust it with flour because we're trying to keep this flourless, and it's also gluten-free friendly. And I'm just going to spray a little bit on the top. I do not want this to stick at all. My other cake had a few little pits on the bottom, so I don't know if because I didn't grease this well enough or not, but now we should be covered. All right, let's set this aside. On this stove, I have heating up some water at the bottom of my pan. Let me get you a look at that. So you can see there's not much water in there. I turned it off for a while because I had it really going. But we just want a little bit of a simmer, and we're going to place our glass bowl in there. I'm just gonna take my chocolate. Now I have 6 ounces here, and there are so many different recipes out there. Some use 4, some use 8, and I think there might be a few that use 6. So I'm going in between. I thought I'm gonna stick with the 6, and you just want these kind of in similar size, smaller pieces, so it can just melt evenly. You don't want big chunks and then little chunks. I think I need to sharpen my knife. We'll get this chopped up, and we'll put that in our bowl with butter. You could also break it up with your hands if your chunks are too big. And my knife isn't so great right now. I need to sharpen it, so I'm just snapping this last bit into smaller chunks. And we're going to add to this 2 sticks of unsalted butter. Let's put that in the pan. I'm letting this start first so that when we go to put the eggs in, this is not really super hot because we don't want to scramble the eggs, do we? I can't wait to take a taste test and see which one turns out better. So let's put our chocolate in there. I'm gonna wash my hands. It seems like an obscene amount of chocolate, but I've done, like I said, I've done a lot of research, and some use only like one stick, and some use, so it changes up a little. We'll see how ours turns out with this. I just feel like we should have chopped up that butter so that melts evenly. It is melting really pretty fast. I don't know. Thinking about all this butter, I might still put that other 4 ounces in because I'm not. Yeah. So see, things can change as you go. I thought I had that in a cupboard. I had it right here. I just feel like that's so much butter. I haven't tried it with this amount of butter. And let's turn this down to low because you don't want this to get scalding hot. I'm just removing it because I was doing this and I let my water get too hot. We don't want to burn the chocolate because it's so expensive. Well, this is how real life goes. There's a lot of things going on at once, right? Let's put that to low. All right. I think I'll be happier with this amount of chocolate, that much butter. Let's put it back on here. And you can do this in the microwave. You usually would do it in 30-second increments and stir. I like this method. I feel like I have a little more control over it. And I have melted, I usually do chocolate chips. I like to melt chocolate chips. I will do that in the microwave because, you know, I mean, chocolate chips are expensive. But the bar of baking chocolate, it's more expensive. So, you know, trying to save ourselves some money here. But the holidays or stuff like Valentine's Day, we're going to spend a little bit more to have something a little special for that someone you love or your family members. We always give little gifts to our kids for Valentine's Day. Nothing big. Maybe a nice little unexpected special homemade dinner. I think it's important to celebrate with your children. Here's a mom, now I am a grandma. And I just love spending time with the family and getting together and creating memories. And it's not even just, it's definitely not just for me. It's for my grandkids. It's for my kids. You know, I want them to have just a strong core of belonging with family. So this is melted really, this is like really, really thin. We'll see. I'm like, yeah. We'll see how this recipe, I'm taking it off the heat because everything is almost melted and the heat of the bowl is still gonna, melt this little bit of butter. Let me get a close up so you can see. Now, see what I'm talking about? We got a little bit of butter, a tiny bit of chocolate that didn't melt. It's pretty thin. We'll see. I'm nervous. Was this too much butter? We'll see. Now, while this is still warm, I want to go ahead and I am adding cacao powder. And I just want it to melt nice in here. And we're going to put about, I'm trying to think if I had a quarter cup or a half a cup. We'll start with a quarter cup. So I measured it out. This looks like a half a cup. Let's go ahead and put it through a little sifter because you won't have lumps in there. Because we don't want to bite into a little. You didn't totally get all the lumps out of cake batter, and then you got a little bubble of cake, dried powdered cake mix in your cake. Yep. We don't want that. Yeah, this is a half a cup, so the total amount. I'm going to put that in here. And I'm hoping that with this extra dry ingredient, with using maple syrup as a sweetener instead of granulated sugar, that we're going to be okay. We will see. It smells just marvelous. Yeah, I'm glad I did this while this was still warm. And I'm going to put it back on the heat for a few seconds. I turned the burner off, but so it's enough heat just to make sure I don't have any lumps. And the chocolate bars that I used were 70%. Were they 70% cacao, extra bittersweet. You can go to 60 for sure. I think the other one was a 60, 60% cacao. So all right, I'm liking that now. No, I said I was going to do the eggs, but I do want to put my salt in there, and you're going to use about 1/8 of a teaspoon of little salt. There we go. Let's stir that in while it's still warm. And I want to get my other flavoring ready, so I like to, well, I pretty much most of the time use espresso powder when I'm doing chocolate because it really bumps up the chocolate, intensifies the chocolate flavor. So we're going to take 1 teaspoon of espresso powder, and let's add our maple syrup to that. And I have pure organic maple syrup. You definitely want to do that because we're using unrefined sugar. And we don't want to use cornstarch. We want pure maple syrup. Well, this hopefully will balance out that really intense bittersweet chocolate. And I'm going to use a little whisk and just get that incorporated. Probably the espresso powder probably would have been best in the chocolate. And we're going to add the sugar, or this maple syrup to our eggs once we get going. I wanted to get that done first. All right, now really the eggs. So I have 7 room temperature eggs, large eggs, and they are also like, I usually get pasture raised eggs, and we're going to go ahead and crack those in, and we want to have this double in volume. I'm trying to see the best angle. Maybe I can come a little closer. Let's see if that angle will work. Let's just put the eggs in there first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Usually I'll put these in an individual little bowl and put them in one at a time, but I was feeling confident today that these eggs are going to be fine. All right, let's try the hands. Now we want this to double, or I think I'm just going to double or triple in volume. And you could whip it by hand, but boy, that will be a workout, and it might take you quite a while. Or you could do a hand mixer. I thought today I'll use my KitchenAid. One of the things I'm going to invest in is one of the glass clear bowls, because then when I'm showing you what I'm making, you can see so much better, because this way I kind of have to finagle this camera down overshot, but you still don't get a great look. So let me just come a little closer and we'll show you what's going on. And we want to beat this to at least, I think it's going to double or triple. So that's what we got going on there. So it is increasing, but we still have a bit to go. Here is that 2-minute mark, and it is I have it on a higher setting, and I did that about 30 seconds into that first. Coming along. About 3.5 minutes. This increased about 3 times its volume. So I think that's going to be good. We'll see. Let's get the pan ready for our batter. So I'm taking like that 8-inch pan, and I'm going to wrap it in some aluminum foil, just the edges, because we're going to put this in another pan, and a bigger pan, and we're going to fill that with some hot water. I boiled some in my tea kettle, and I have the oven preheated at 325. So let's at least mix our batter, and then we'll pour it into the... So how we're going to do it, and you can really do this different ways. Some people pour the chocolate in here. Some people pour the egg into here. I think I'm going to like putting pouring the egg mixture in here. So let's pour a little bit at a time. And this isn't cooled down enough. We're not going to get scrambled eggs. You know what? Let's use a spatula for that. I'm just going to fold that in. I think you can get a good look at that. Yeah. I'm so excited to have this. especially homemade, because it's like you can have something really special, you know, for you having a little get together, a party, and it's really not that many ingredients. And depending on what technique, we'll see which one turns out better. This one is definitely more labor intensive, but it's not like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And you can do it. So I just heard that little thought. I heard you say, might be simple for you. Well, this will be simple for you too. You can do it. Don't underestimate yourself. You can cook delicious food for your family and your friends. So I'm just pouring. Probably could have done this like in 3 intervals. I'm not going crazy now whisking it. I'm just kind of incorporating in so that I don't have any more of those dark swirls. And this is kind of what I mean about those dark swirls. So you can see all that dark chocolate. I just want to incorporate this all. Wow, we got a lot here. I'm going to pull it almost all in. A little bit left. Maybe I should have doubled it. I can't remember. I didn't look at my notes, so I was trying to go from memory, which can be a scary thing. Let's see, we're just incorporating. You can feel the light and fluffiness with the egg in here. Let me know if I still haven't made my strawberry mousse. I am going to make that today. So would you just serve this with chocolate ganache or strawberry cheesecake mousse? I was concerned about just putting too many intense flavors in there. It's like, should we let the chocolate stand alone and shine, or will it complement it? That's the thing. Because I definitely mostly am a more person. I like more. I think more is more, more is good. But it's not always true. Sometimes simplicity shines. Don't you think? I know when I was younger, I think I definitely like I had to add more things, thinking, oh, it's adding more is going to be better of a certain ingredient. But no, not really necessarily. Look at that, it's kind of turning out how we want. We're getting rid of those dark streaks. Okie doke. Like, do I want to pour it in here first and then put it there? I think so. That is a lot of batter. But this is going to congeal down, or I don't know what the word congeal is, probably not. This is going to get pretty fluffy, but then it will deflate down, and that's kind of how a flourless cake is. It's very dense and moist. It's not going to fluff up like a cake that you would have with flour and leavening in it. I think the egg is a little bit of a leavening agent for this. I don't know all the science behind it, but well, we got that pretty full. Let's just even it out a little bit. Wash the hands. All right. Let's put this in here, and we're going to add our hot water. Sorry for the close-up. We're going to add our hot water now. Just be careful not to get it in your cake. You can put this in a bigger pan if you have. I did have another larger size. We're going to go about halfway. I have like I think it's a 12-inch. Careful. Yep, that's about halfway. Maybe a tad more, but just be very careful with that hot water. All right, we're going to put it in the middle. It is time to take our cake out of the oven. And this has been in here probably 26 to 27 minutes. And let's very carefully pull that out. Now, with this technique, it does look a little bit different. It should be, your cake should be, let me get a close-up, a little jiggly. Let's see if I can pull this out easily without burning myself. There we go. Oh, no. All right, let's set that hot pan there. I'm going to get a close-up of this. So it should start to come around the sides, which it is, and it should be a little jiggly in the middle. I wanted to get a close-up so you can get an idea, so you can know if you make this. See how that's a little jiggly in the middle? That'll finish cooking in the heat of the pan, and that makes this so it's nice and moist. The edges are nice and set. So between the fat in there, all that butter, this will congeal nicely once it cools. So let's get, my pot holder is a little wet, but no big deal. But the nice thing I'm already noticing about this technique, this recipe, this hasn't deflated like the other one with I think the other one I did 4 eggs. And with whipping the eggs, this is still pretty high. So I'm thinking it's going to deflate some as it cools. We will see. But we're going to let this cool down on this wire rack for a good 20 minutes, half an hour before we flip it out. And so far it looks great. We'll see. We'll do a taste test later. We've had the cake cooling for about 40 minutes. I got sidetracked. Usually I don't wait that long. But you just take a spatula, offset spatula, and just go around the edges a little bit carefully. And this looks nice. It stayed really nice. It didn't deflate down like the other one, so I hope that's a good sign. Well, the best time to take this is out about a half an hour. We waited an extra 10 minutes, but we're doing all right. It's sunk down a little bit in the middle when well, what's that about? And I tore off some of the side. So, but on this side it looks perfect. But I tore off some of it right over here. So I'm going to be really careful with this. I'm just going to, I want to slide it over right now while it's still so warm. Let's see. I want it a little more centered on my plate. No, don't fuss with it. Note to self. Don't fuss with it. It's just too moist. So it looks, otherwise it looks great. I should have took it out at a half hour. I know better than that. Wash my hands. All right, let's cut up this baby. Gonna use a knife, hot knife. Get a nice clean slice. And this was in the fridge, so our ganache isn't all shiny. Now, one tip to have your ganache really shiny too is put a little pat of butter in when you're mixing it up after it already melted. So, happy Valentine's Day. That is so rich, so intense chocolate, so decadent. Whoa, that was a success. Now we're going to take the second cake, and this is the one with the 7 eggs, and it stayed nice. Now the middle did drop down a little bit, but I think it's my plate because this plate goes down a little, and and the edges are up a little higher, so I think I got to be careful. This is very, very moist. And it is extra, it's real crumbly, especially on the edges, so just be careful. I had this in the fridge, and I kept this out for a couple hours. The other one I took right out of the fridge and served. And my husband's like, it's too cold, which I agree with him. It needed to warm up a little bit. So we're going to take a little cocoa powder, and we're going to put that on top of each slice. Now I'm not going to do the whole cake at once because I'm going to bring some of this cake to my daughter's house, and I want to put the cocoa powder fresh on their slices. And we got some strawberry cheesecake mousse here, so this should really taste different. So this is just changing it up a little bit. Oh, nice. And now if I had the chocolate ganache on here, I would do just like the other one. I'd put this in a hot cup of water, this knife, and then do another slice, but I'm kind of just doing a quick dessert for my husband and I. Now this doesn't come out as easily. So let's see, do I have a little spatula here. I'll just put that on the side of the plate. Wow, this is so super moist looking. I think this one looks a little moister than even the other. The other one was dense, moist, but I think this is even moister. Is that possible? All right. I hate to waste that. Let's slide this on here. It's just me and my hubby tonight. It doesn't have to be super fancy. But if you were serving this to guests, you want to soak this in hot water so you have a nice clean knife. Oh, that. Yeah, there's a drop down on this plate. Note to self. Note to you if you're serving this, get a flat, flush plate to put it on. It'll just be easier in the long run. Oh, how pretty. All right. I'm going to set this aside. Some plastic wrap on that. All right. I'm just going to take a slight dusting. We don't need much. Oops. Let's do it over my plate here. Ah. This stuff is expensive. I don't want to waste it. This is cacao powder. Oh, how pretty. It's snowing cocoa. And this one's not going to look as pretty. I guess I'll eat that one. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. So I wanted to see how each one was. The one, like I said, I did with the chocolate ganache, which was absolutely delicious. Phenomenal, I think. And I think this is going to be good too. It's just another way you can do it. If you don't feel like making ganache, if you have some cocoa powder or cacao powder, there you go. You got a really pretty little topping. Let me show you how pretty that is. Don't look at my piece, it's a big mess. But isn't that pretty? Now, how nice and special is that for your little Valentine dinner or your Galentine party? Let's take a couple little strawberry. Oh, we put our mousse topping. Just gonna do a dollop on there. Let's do a couple of dollops. Couple little strawberries on there. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Let's give it a taste. Let's get some of the mousse too, just a little bit. Okay, a little bit more. Mmm. Hey, that's a good combination. That was a good idea. You got the tanginess and strawberry of the mousse with that moist. This I think I like this one with the 7 eggs better. I like it better. They're both really good. This one is definitely a lighter, creamier chocolate flour cake. They're both terrific. I make them both anytime. Oh my gosh, I can't stop eating it. My husband and I are sitting and watching Sleepless in Seattle, so I didn't want to save my cake for that. Let me know which one you think you would try. You're going to try both of them. I'm going to take a picture of this and make sure you catch the video on the strawberry cheesecake mousse, because that is nice. And let me clean up. I'm going to get some pictures. I want to do a little recap on these two chocolate flourless cakes. They both were delicious, decadent, and I definitely would make both of them in a heartbeat. They were great. The difference about each cake was the first one, just this one, that's the one covered with the ganache. We used 4 eggs on that. We cooked it with less butter. We baked it at a higher temperature. I think it was 360 on this one. One thing I didn't realize, I had made an error as far as telling you how much, what percentage chocolate. I used a 70% bittersweet cacao chocolate bar, not a 60. I thought I had done this one with 60. So there's a little correction there. So very decadent. This is a denser cake. My recommendation is when you're ready to serve it, take it out of the fridge good half an hour before. Some people like it really cold, but my husband and I, we both found we liked it better if it was out a little bit. And you can see we didn't get that much in here, but this is a very rich cake, so you don't need much. The second cake, different, a little bit different in ingredients as far as amounts. We had used 2 bars of chocolate, so we did a total of I think 8 ounces of chocolate in the cake. We used 2 sticks of butter on that one, and we used 7 eggs, and we whipped those eggs until they were like triple in volume. One thing I forgot, I want to mention, is the second cake. I forgot to add my vanilla flavor. If you're making this cake, make sure you add that. Now, it didn't make a huge difference, but you know, it did make a tiny bit of difference because I noticed, because I do a lot of baking. But anyways, all in all, that second cake probably was my favorite. I loved how creamy the texture was when you I loved the creamy texture of it when I bit into it. It was a great, great texture, great flavor. The second one we baked at a lower temperature, 325, in a water bath. We put that little pan, wrapped it with aluminum foil, put it in a bigger pan, and filled it halfway with hot water. And that was my favorite. That first one we covered with chocolate ganache, a great choice. It was so intense chocolate. It was great. The second cake I dusted with cocoa powder, and I put a little dollop of strawberry cheesecake mousse, which I'll put in another video. I won't put it all in one because this video will be too long. I'll do that on another video. You know, it was a nice pair for that cake with a little bit of strawberry and chocolate, because who doesn't love that combination, right? Strawberry and chocolate. I'm going to see you. Oh, and the chocolate ganache. I will put that. You'll see that that was in this video, the chocolate ganache. So, because you just got to know how easy it is to make chocolate ganache. Is so super easy. And I do have some left over, and I'm going to cover some, dip some strawberries today. I'm going to bring a little care package over to my family, so they're going to get leftovers of the cake. Oh, it's going to be a rough life, right? Having leftover cake. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. I had fun trying out the 2 different techniques. Like I said, my favorite was with the 7 eggs and whipping those and doing in a water bath. 2 different recipes, 2 different baking techniques, but one delicious flourless chocolate cake. I'll see you next time. If you're not following me or you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love for you to join this community. I have almost 200 videos. I can't believe it. So there is a lot of desserts, lots of desserts, everyday meals. You know, we're always wondering what are we going to make for dinner. So I share some of my favorites, some of our family favorites. We've got Italian cuisine, American cuisine, Mexican cuisine, whatever I've learned along the way. And then we have lots of ideas for brunch, appetizers. So go ahead and join this community if you're wanting to try some new recipes. And we will see you next time. Hey, leave me something in the comments if there's something special you would like to see, because I haven't decided yet what am I going to do for my 200th video. I think will be number 198, and I'm like, I haven't decided. I already have some videos that I've already recorded. I'm not sure if they'll be in the 200 or not. I wanted to do something a little bit special but not too crazy because life gets so busy, right? But I wanted to do something a little special. So if there's something you are really hankering or would like to see, let me know in the comments, and we'll see you next time. This is going to be posted after Valentine's Day, but I hope you had a great Valentine's Day and enjoy your family and friends, and thanks for watching Back to Home with Doreen.